Okay, and welcome back to the Lake Norman Woman Podcast, episode 2, here with Katie Stankiewicz. Again, she'll be with us every single week. I'm so excited to have you here.
You're stuck with me.
We had such a fun conversation for our first episode, getting to know you a little bit more, but I think this time you're going to get to know me a little bit better. I feel like I'm an oversharer. I feel like I talk too much. I feel like there's nothing that anybody doesn't know about me, but I do want to dive a little bit into why I wanted to start this podcast. Yeah. So,
and that's a story that needs to be shared because you are the momentum behind this.
And I have to say, like, when I very first moved to the Lake Norman area, 10 years ago in March 1st is when I moved to the Lake Norman area permanently. I was always a fan of this area, but when I moved, I picked up Lake Norman Woman magazine. It was one of the first magazines I picked up in the grocery store. And I was like, gosh, this is a beautiful magazine, sharing women's stories. What a great way to do this. Had no idea 10 years later I'd be involved with it. Just such a cool story for me to get here, which I feel like I've shared a lot. And if you don't know this story, you can listen to Good Morning LKN. You can listen to all the other podcasts I've been on that I've shared the story on. There's lots of ways to hear the way, or you can just pick up a copy of the magazine, and I share a article in it every single month. Different stories that I've told, but I love the opportunity to share women's stories. And I came from a long line of storytellers. My family, my dad's a pastor, mom's a teacher. My mom was a writer, a speaker as well. She passed away almost 4 years ago. But I really grew up with a legacy of storytellers. And my family, I come from, my dad has 7 brothers and sisters, so 8 of them, 42 first cousins on my dad's side. I mean, for me, It was so normal. For me, it was so normal. And until you get out in the world, like really, it was until I went to college and I was like, how many cousins do you have? And they're like 2. And I was like,
yeah, I have 6. I have 5.
Right?
Yeah, 5.
I was like, okay, well, maybe everybody doesn't have a family this large. Because they were like, what do you guys do? How do you get together? I was like, we just go to my grandma's house and
how do you have Thanksgiving with that?
Oh, we just people? All shoving. Yeah, it's just all close knit. And so when I went to college the first time, I was like, wait, I have my own bed? Yeah, my own closet. This is amazing because I also have 3 sisters and we grew up in 1,100 square feet and we all shared. I shared a bed with my younger sister until I was 15. And so like, it was just normal to me. Everybody's on top of each other and we'd get together and we would tell stories because you can't find a movie everybody wants to watch. You can't find even a food that everybody's going to want to eat when you have that many people in your family. And so we just sit around and like Uncle Kirk would tell a story about my great-grandparents and what it was like for them. My grandfather would be telling a story about my great-grandmother who I was named after, and he would tell me a story about how she made pound cake. And my grandmother would be telling a story about when she was little and how they were sharecroppers and picking cotton. And so just all these different stories circulating around. And whenever we'd have a bad experience too, they'd be like, well, that was terrible, but at least we got a good story out of it. And still, even my daughter will say that to this day. She's like, oh, that was awful, but there's a great story, you know? And my dad also being a pastor, standing up and telling stories in front of church all the time. We would always say they're based on a true story. Sometimes you'd have to tweak them a little bit to bring Jesus into it. But we always were just telling stories. And this is a way for me to continue sharing women's stories. And that's what I love to do. I love women. I love the Lake Norman community. And so putting those 2 things together. And really it's about, I feel like every day I'm just trying to make my mom proud. I was doing that before she passed away, but afterwards we were working on a book with her whenever COVID hit and she passed away during COVID. And so I've not picked that back up yet, but this is a way for us to continue to share women's stories over and over and over and really like get to the heart of who these women are. And I feel like the entrepreneurial sector, the businesses in Lake Norman who are run by women, who were started by women, is so special and so unique. And something that doesn't get talked about all the time about what it's like as a woman to either be a decision maker, to start a business, or what it takes to keep it going, right? Lots of people.
Well, and balancing the family, the work, all those expectations.
Absolutely. So what that looks like, I mean, what does that look like for you to balance? Because now you're a single parent and you have a young daughter and you're running a business. You're running a business and a nonprofit. So what does that look like for you? You know, what are the challenges that you face? It's hard.
It's a lot of being aware of your time. You know, like you said, your family, you'd cram it all in and cram it all together. And that's really what you have to do is this awareness of, okay, I have her today, so I'm not going to do office work today. Or, okay, when I don't have her, I almost work all the time because I'm like, then I have this ability where I can work and I'm not taking away from. But I was also very blessed that when it's your own business, Natalie Ray's come with me so much. From when she was 4 weeks old, she was at a farm with me, and she knows my clients. And, you know, her being able to see this, she doesn't understand how special it is. And yet, just like your dog, your Katie, is when they see their moms being strong, powerful women and just doing it as us being ourselves.
Right.
That's a powerful lesson for our kids to learn.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said in the last episode about being authentic, right? Being authentic and being whoever you are. I saw my mother, who stayed at home with us until my younger sister started school. She was a teacher. She stayed home with us. And then when my younger sister started first or second grade, she was like, all right, I'm going back to school. I'm going to have my career now. And it really showed me that, like, you can have it all, just not all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, she had to
balance it.
Right. And you do balance it. And so it was my dad making hot dogs a lot. And my dad learned how to make French toast and
Scrambled eggs are a staple in my house.
So he learned how to make those things to help feed us. Thankfully, we had Wednesday night church, Wednesday night supper. I don't know, is that still a thing around here?
I think so, yeah.
Growing up in the South, you always had church and Wednesday night supper. So we always had that taken care of. My mom went to class strategically Mondays and Wednesday nights because she knew that meal was provided for her children at least one of those nights. So I think that's one of the things too, as women and women business owners, that we have all of those things running around in our heads. I actually saw a survey not long ago that said that women, and especially working mothers, need an extra 20 minutes of sleep over a man because of all the multitasking that they're doing in their heads. And I believe it.
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I could probably use an extra hour of sleep a night.
I could use it, yeah. And I joke, when it gets to be like crunch time or crazy time, my brain literally doesn't function. When I'm tired, I think about all the like plowing through we did in racing, or, you know, thrashing that we used to have to do. But now it's to the point too where I physically feel like my brain is processing slower when I get tired. And I'm like, there's no point of me attempting to finish this because my brain isn't working.
Yeah, I get to that point
and
sometimes too.
I just got to put it down.
Just close it up, close it down, come back in the morning. I just have to not wake up at 3 a.m. with those same thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Well, then I just get up and do it. But there was actually a study that said, you know, whether you're cramming for a test or you're trying to get through a project, is your brain only has the capacity to work so long. And so it's like, okay, work for an hour and then get up and go for a 5-minute walk, or, you know, figure out how to create these conscious breaks within your schedule, and you'll actually be more productive versus sitting and trying to work straight for 10 hours.
That's a great point that you make. And I would love to talk about, like, what do you do to make sure that you are getting the breaks? Because I know, like, I am a type A woman, and I want to prove that I can do it. I mean, that's number one. I can do it all. I'm like fiercely independent, which I've learned through therapy that's not always a good trait.
That might be a trauma response.
I've heard that. I've heard that a couple of times. But yes, I am fiercely independent. I'm a classic middle child. I don't need anybody to do anything for me ever. Nope. And it's really hard for me to accept the help, or even to say, like, I can't. That's a really struggle for me. So how do you find it as a business owner, running really 2 businesses that you're running too?
Well, I would say that honestly, a lot of therapy, because I was the same with you, having a traumatic childhood, the different experiences in adulthood. It was that I'm independent, I can do it, I'm going to do it. And it has taken a lot of time for me to say, like, yes, I can do it, and I don't have to do it by myself anymore. And so whether it's the team of therapists I have, whether it's the board at Soul to Soul, whether it's my family and friends that live down and around us, is that sometimes, yes, there are tasks that are specifically mine. But then I can also say, like, okay, this is yours. And I'm not a micromanager. If you say you're going to do something, I'll touch base and say, how can I help you? Is there anything you need? But I'm trusting that you're going to do it. And so that was a huge shift for me of, okay, if I'm going to delegate, I'm going to delegate with purpose and have faith in who I'm delegating to.
Yeah, I think delegate with purpose is so important. Like, it's very easy for me to say, hey, you take care of this, but then I take it back really quickly. Because I'm like, I could just do it faster. I can just do it faster.
Right.
And that's not helping anybody else on my team learn how to do it either whenever I take it back from them. So,
well, and it really also takes away an opportunity for you to learn, because of course, everything we do and our ideas are 100% right and perfect. And yet other people do have ideas and ways of doing things. Right. And so it is sometimes neat to be like, okay, I wouldn't have gone about it that way, but that works. And if there's a little tweaking I have to do, we can tweak, but I appreciate the way you did it. And as long as it's a positive representation of Willow or Soul to Soul or us, then I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't have
that's great.
to have control over it as long as it's
I got a lot to learn from you, Katie.
professional or presentable or one of those P words.
Yes, we'll continue learning from each other,
Yes, we
hopefully.
will.
But I'm going to glean all the knowledge I can because you've been doing this a lot longer than I am, so I can learn a lot from you. So we'll be back after some messages from our sponsors, and I'm just excited to get to know each other just a little bit better. So we'll be back right after this.
Dreaming of starting your own podcast but don't have the space or gear? The WSIC Podcast Studio has everything you need to bring your content to life. With multiple sets that can be tailored to fit your needs, state-of-the-art lighting, and camera equipment, you'll be ready to create high-quality content. Need a photography studio? We've got you covered with our professional cyclorama wall. Bring your own camera and let our expert producers handle it. Email social@WSICnews.com to schedule your tour today. The WSIC Podcast Studio, where your ideas come to life.
Imagine a home where every inch is designed just for you. At The Closet Niche, they create custom solutions based on your specific needs. From closets to build-ins, garages to wall beds, their locally created solutions deliver functionality and elegance. With a lifetime warranty, best price guarantee, and award-winning service, you'll see why they've won Best of the Lake 2 years running. Get your space reimagined. Visit theclosetniche.com today.
Looking for deeper self-discovery and emotional growth? Soul to Soul Connection offers supportive space where horses help you understand your inner world in ways traditional talk therapy can't. Our certified professionals guide you through meaningful experiences that foster reflection, healing, and renewed perspective. Best of all, these services are offered at low or no cost for veterans, first responders, and their families. Learn more at healingwithhorseslkn.org and start your journey toward greater well-being today.
And welcome back to the Lake Norman Woman podcast. Katie and I are here a little bit more talking more about me, I think is what we're talking about
Yes,
today.
we are.
Yes. So I feel like I've shared my story so many times, different podcast shows and things that I've been on, even in the magazine. But I do want to I'll do the short version, the elevator pitch.
We want to hear more of.
Yeah, in case you don't know
are.
what brought me to this chair today. So my background's in broadcasting. I went to school for television broadcasting, wanted to be the next Katie Couric. That was my thought and goal and plan, and went through school.
And life happened.
Right. I know life always happens. Actually, what happened was I got my very first job on air. I was a little weekend reporter for our cable news station in Shelby, where I grew up. The hours were just horrible. And I was 21 and I couldn't see past being 21.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, no, all my friends go out and I have to be up at 6 a.m. to get the marathon swim across Moss Lake. This is not what I want to do. And when you are starting out too, you're a one-man band. So you're shooting, you're editing, you're producing, you're doing it all by yourself.
You're working 10 times harder to try to prove yourself.
And making $0, not much money at all. And so I couldn't see past that. And so I got another job as a producer for a bigger station in Greenville, South Carolina. Same kind of thing. I was working until I was working the 6 and 11 p.m. news, still no social life. And it was like, what can I do? Stay in broadcasting, but have a regular 9-to-5 schedule. I'll go into sales. Went into sales, did that for a couple of years, and then had my daughter. Surprise baby. Not planned in any kind of way. The greatest blessing I've ever received. Katie, if you're listening, my daughter Katie, I love you so much, but she knows she was a fun surprise. She knows.
Yeah, Natalie Ray was too.
Yeah. Well, that's what she was like, I was an accident. I was like, no, you were a fun surprise.
Yes.
And so that's what I refer to her as all the time. And so, then I am, okay, what does my life look like? And like I said earlier, came from my mom, who was a stay-at-home mom. My sisters, who at the time my 2 older sisters were stay-at-home moms. All my cousins from my large family, most of them stayed at home. I didn't see any other path other than that.
But if you think about it culturally, that
in
is
South,
very traditional in the South.
Yeah, very traditional in the South.
Stay home and raise your kids.
And especially the generation before mine, that's all they did.
Definitely.
And then we're heading into the millennial generation, right? But I was the first of my friends to get pregnant and have a baby. And so I didn't really know what that looked like. And so heading in, I was like, well, that's what I do, right? I quit my job, I stay home. And so I did. I quit my job, and my husband at the time really wanted me to stay home too. And I was like, this is what he wants. This is what I'm supposed to do. I guess this is what I want. And so I'm staying at home, and I'm like, oh gosh, there's no water cooler talk. There's no
socialization.
bagels on Fridays. There's no, I was working at Fox in Charlotte. And so there were tickets for sports games and events and things like that. And like all of that's gone. So it's not just me doing the work, which I would really enjoy doing. And I felt like I was really good at it, but it was also the loss of that community. So here I am, a 25-year-old stay-at-home mom, and all my other friends are coming over to the house to pregame before they go out on the weekends.
Right.
And I'm like, yay, we're having fun. Okay, bye. And so it's like, where do I fit in? And it was such a loss of identity for me. But then I'm like, all right, I can make this work. I'm going to start a mom group, and I'm going to start a little business over here, and I'm going to make jewelry, and I'm going to do all these little things, go to the craft shows, go to the Bible study. So like, here's how I'm going to fulfill myself. I'm going to do every volunteer thing possible. Well, while I was at home with her, I get diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which if you're not familiar with that, it is an autoimmune disease. It is really a tough one and very isolating because you are having issues, bathroom issues. It's a bathroom disease.
And there's not a lot known about it.
There's not a lot of education about it. And living in Shelby, which is a small town, we had one gastroenterologist in town to go to, and he really did not know how to deal with someone who was 26. I was 26, dealing with this, a young child. Like, what does my life look like? What is it going to be like? Can I even take care of my kid, much less figure out how I'm going to make a career and go anywhere with this? And so I'm dealing with this disease. It took me about 5 years to get not only the correct diagnosis, but find the correct medicine. In and out of the hospital, multiple surgeries. And just like I said earlier, like when you have a big life event, it really does make you reevaluate. What is my life going to look like? And I really couldn't say, I couldn't see the future.
You can't see hope because you're trying to survive.
Yeah, I could only see right then. Like I could only see an hour in front of myself, really. And I remember at one point, my daughter who was potty training and me, and then I had a husband who worked out of town 5 days a week. And I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through the next 3 months, much less the next, what does it look like for her to go to kindergarten or whatever. And so by the time she got into first grade, I had had probably 10 surgeries, in and out of the hospital, multiple doctors, finally found a doctor, a medicine, a therapy that worked. And my doctor, I was just visiting him and he said, hey, we want to start you on a new trial drug. Are you interested? And I was like, sure, if it'll work,
fine.
If it works, it works. Yes, let's do it. So I started on it and it started working and I stayed in the trial, and 2 years down the road, I'm still in the trial. They're like, the trial's ending. They're bringing the medicine to the FDA. They want to know if you'd be willing to speak. And I was like, me? Are you serious? Me? I'm Mamie. I'm from Shelby. Nobody cares about anything I would ever have to say. And he was like, but you're good. You're personable. You're good at talking to people. I'm still staying at home at this time because I was really only 2 years out from the sickest I'd ever been. And so I'm still staying at home. And he was like, yeah, you. He was like, you can do it. They need real people and real stories. So they put me together with a writer because I never thought I was a good writer. I never thought I was a public speaker. Always ambitious, but always wanted to be behind the scenes. Never really wanted to be in front of the camera. So I write my story. I submit it. They accept it. My very first speaking opportunity ever, other than like standing up in church and saying a couple words, was speaking in front of the FDA.
When you're speaking about private, intimate details.
Very intimate details. And I'm standing up there and I was like, I am so passionate about this. I have spent 6 years of my life trying to get to this stage, and I get to go to Washington, D.C. for free and get a nice meal. Sure, I'll do it. I'll talk to
makeup on and wash my hair.
I get to like get dressed up. I've been at home in sweats with a 6-year-old all year. So yeah, I'll go to D.C. I got all, and I was like, this was so much fun. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm here. I did it. This is amazing. And I went
just
home,
as you tell it, your energy shifts.
Yeah,
the excitement about it, the confidence.
It was just like, that was once in a lifetime opportunity. This will never happen again. I'll never be asked to speak in front of people ever again. In my head, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
But I went home, head held high, felt great. Well, the company that made the drug was there. They called me a couple weeks later and like, we loved what you had to say. We'd love for you to speak all over the country. And I was like, me? Me? Really? Again, I went through it again. I was like, you don't want me. I promise you don't want me. And they're like, yeah, we loved your passion. And really, I think when you have something that you're so passionate about that is so personal to you, it's easy to talk about.
When you can talk, you can read it. Anyone can read a script or read or even tell your story. But it's that passion and the energy behind it.
Yeah.
That's what sells.
Yeah. So I really just standing up and sharing my heart, and I had this approved script because, with FDA and drug companies, you have to have all these things you can and you can't say. So I made sure I stuck to those. But really, they just let me share my story with so I got to share with other patients, with other doctors, with drug representatives, with all these people that matter that were making a difference in patients' lives. And that's what that's what I was there to do. I was there just to help spread the word about what worked for me may work for you. And if this isn't the thing that works for you, don't stop until you find the thing that works for you. Don't stop until you have the right doctor, the right community, the right support around you that can help you get exactly what you need. Because it really was my type A, I'm not going to stop until I feel like I am where I need to be,
Right.
health-wise, and be there for my daughter as well. I mean, really, if not for her, I don't think I would have pushed as hard as I did.
No, it was 100% because of Katie.
Because
right.
I needed to be there for her as her mother. Like, I didn't want her to grow, but with a sick mom or a mom who couldn't be there for her, or a mom who didn't survive, you know,
Right.
because of this disease. So I just kept going out there and kept sharing my story. And I did it. I didn't get paid at all, but I got to travel the United States and I got to tell my story and I got to eat nice steak dinners all over the country. And it was fantastic. And I just loved every second of it. I got to go to New York for the first time. So this little girl from Shelby who felt like, you know, when I ended my career, that was the end of me getting up and having this camaraderie. And so I would go out and I would meet other people and I would get to, you know, make those connections with them as well. People that I've met once or twice in person that I still have great relationships with on social media or through text, catching up with each other, seeing what people are doing. It was just so fantastic. And I was like, this is what I need to be doing. I need to be talking to other people and sharing stories. So when I went through a divorce in 2015, I was like, I got to get back to where I'm talking to people again. And so I reached out and I was like, I just want to, you know, be in that same kind of space, be in that media world. And so I went back into TV as a sales assistant, making not much money at all, but know that like this is the place that I'm supposed to be. And so
And it'll all work out.
it will all work out.
It's a stepping stone to the bigger picture, vision, story, whatever word you want to use.
And so I was just me being the first person to raise my hand and say, I want to try something new. I want to do something different. I want to talk to somebody different, you know, whatever I can do, however I can help. And I used that first 6 months as an internship as like, hey, whatever you guys need me to do. If you want me to run a teleprompter, I'll go do that. If you want me to come in at 4 a.m. and help set up the studio, I'll do that. So like wherever I can help out, because I knew I couldn't stay where I was. I'm a newly single parent. I'm going to have to make more money. I have to have insurance. I have to, you know, all these things that when you do have a spouse or a partner to help carry that load, I didn't have that. And I didn't know if I'd ever have that again. And so just really putting myself out there at working 7 days a week, working every little
Do whatever
extra
you have
job
to
I
do.
could pick up and just really get there. And then did that for another, 10 years almost until my mother passed away. And the same kind of thing happened. It makes you reevaluate everything. COVID and then her passing away. Those two things coupled together really just make you think, all right, what do I want to do with my life? And I'd been ingrained in this Lake Norman community for 8 or 9 years, and I really wanted to do more within the community. So I want to get a job where I can join Rotary and join the chamber and join all these other things that are really going to help me get to know this community better. And also, we're all going through a really tough time right now, so let's start a funny meme page that can make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
And that's so much of what my mom did too, was help us learn how to laugh about what we were going through.
You have to laugh through the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
And everything else.
As an homage to her too, just to say like, hey, I'm going to put this out here because I know it'll make me laugh. It might make 2 other people laugh. And if it does, that's great.
Yep.
So really starting that as a way to like really understand this community, understand the culture, and really get ingrained into the Lake Norman community. So I'll share a
And
little.
it shows so much about yourself.
Yeah. And just being authentically me.
Yes.
It just goes back to what you said before about just like, who am I when my head hits the pillow? I like to laugh. I like to tell stories. And I love this area. I genuinely love this area and the people of this area. So when we come back, I'll share a little bit more about my path from LKN memes to sitting here in this chair today.
Perfect.
And then we'll share a couple other things too. But we'll be right back after this break.
Sounds great.
Ready to create your podcast, video, or photo shoot? The WSIC Studio is your one-stop shop for all your content needs. We offer multiple sets that can be tailored to fit your vision along with state-of-the-art lighting and camera equipment. Plus, our Cyclorama Photography Studio provides the perfect backdrop for stunning visuals. Bring your own camera or use ours, with expert producers to guide you. Email social@WSIC News today to book a tour. The WSIC Podcast Studios, your content, our expertise.
Are you ready for a fresh approach to healing and personal development? At Willow Equine, our certified professionals offer equine-assisted therapy that harness the powerful connection between horses and humans. We provide counseling, mindfulness, and leadership development tailored to your unique journey. Discover new insights and transform your life through the sensitivity and wisdom of horses. Visit healingwithhorseslkn.org to learn more. Begin your path to well-being today.
Winning Best of the Lake 2 years in a row, The Closet Niche is not only locally owned and operated, but their products are manufactured right here in Lake Norman as well. With a lifetime warranty and best price guaranteed, they deliver stunning, high-quality designs tailored to your specific needs. From closets to pantries, laundry rooms to garages, and more. Their work speaks for itself. Visit theclosetniche.com to get started on your 5-star experience today. Visit theclosetniche.com today.
Welcome back to the Lake Norman Woman Podcast. Neely here with Katie Stankiewicz. We're talking about me a little bit more today. You guys are getting an earful and get to know all about Mamie. But I do want to mention right before the break, I was talking about starting LKN Means and kind of how I got from there to this chair. Being editor-in-chief of Lake Norman Woman, being the digital director for WSIC, and all the other things that I do in the community that go along with that. LKN Memes just started out of a place of doom scrolling. It really was. It was like we're all sitting in the same space at the same time. What can I do that's going to collectively bring us together? And that was it. I was missing community.
And bring a smile.
Bring a smile, right? And just teach us to laugh in the face of adversity. I saw these other meme pages that I was following, and it really started from, hey, my timeline, I don't like it right now because I felt like I was failing at everything, being very type A. I like to be very much not just like look like I have it all together, but really feel like I want everything to be organized. It's not. I want everything to flow very nice and smoothly. It wasn't. Dealing with my mother and her sickness and then eventually her passing away. It was just like, what can I do to like make myself laugh, to bring a little bit of humor, to not feel like I'm not doing what everybody else is doing at this time.
And have some realness too.
Yeah.
Because I think with social media is great, but there's also that facade of everything's perfect.
Right.
And if I don't look like that or I'm not doing this,
and that's how
then
I
I'm
felt.
failing.
Yeah,
and that's
I felt
so not true.
I mean, it's the blessing and the curse of social media. I can make it look like my highlight reel as well.
Yes.
I can make it look like everything's great in my life. And then I'm seeing everybody else's in their little 30, 60-second spurts of, everything's going great, perfectly manicured photos and faces and all the things. And, I just was not in that space. I wasn't in that headspace. I wasn't physically in that space. And so, like, what can I do to collectively bring us together? Because I didn't feel like there was anything out there at the time that was really bringing everybody together. When the Lake Norman community, summer's on the lake and going, you can always run into somebody somewhere. And then we're here. I think I started in the month of April. Springtime's coming. We'd go out even on the boat. My husband and I would go out on the boat and we would see other people at a sandbar and be like, hey, how are y'all doing? And they're like, don't come any closer.
Right.
We're like, oh, we're missing. I just missed it. I missed that closest. I missed that just talking to strangers because I have no problem with that ever. I'll talk to anybody.
And it's so amazing that you didn't realize that was so important.
Mm-hmm.
But then also that awareness of like, we're sitting, I don't know, whatever this is, 3-4 feet away from each other, wouldn't think twice about it.
Right.
But there are some people who had very high vigilance on distancing and spacing.
The 6 feet and all that kind of stuff, the mask wearing and all that stuff. And it was just mentally, it was draining me. And my daughter, who is an only child, who we lived in a condo, didn't have a lot of kids around either. Her parents weren't allowing kids to play and together and things like that. And so it was just a really tough time for everybody in my household.
Yeah.
My husband works on cars, and so his life never changed either. And he was still going to work every day. His life was not changing.
See, my life didn't change.
Yours didn't change at all either.
Well, it changed in a sense where I kind of added more hustle because I was deemed essential. So the horses had to get taken care of. My team and I discussed long and hard about, can we keep the therapy practice open and do it safely and respectfully? And it was something like, we're in a crisis. We have to keep therapy going to the best of our ability. So we masked, we created distance, we had a drive-through service, we did Zoom. Like you got creative to be able to keep the safety, but also keep that schedule for people. And so that is one thing that actually I look at COVID from a different perspective of, I worked so hard that all this time that everybody had closeness with their family, I was away from my family more. And that devastated me.
Yeah.
I had probably a little bit of anger and sadness after we got out of COVID because I was like, I missed so much. Or I'd come home exhausted and tired and stressed, and then I'd have to homeschool Natalie and be like, okay, well, we've got to do this. We've got to do. So it was like, I felt like a drill sergeant, and there was like no joy. I'm like, this is insanity. Like this is sheer. I understand and see what others are going through. And then on my side too, I was like, this sucks.
But you couldn't really relate to
I had a
common thing that everybody else was going through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while everyone else was kind of going through the shared experience, you were going through like I said with my husband, his work never stopped. He was deemed essential. So he was working every day. It never stopped for him. Meanwhile, I'm home just like your daughter, right? She's home too. And then he would come home and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need somebody to talk to. I haven't had anybody to talk to all day. And he was like, wait, no, my job never ended.
Yeah.
I'm tired. And so it was
I'm tired and I'm mentally, emotionally zapped because I can't say the therapy sessions got heavier, but they were different.
Mm-hmm.
They were different. And the people kind of like when you walk in the door, that like, I haven't had that connection, that community.
Right.
It was different. It was a very hard time.
Do you feel like COVID opened up more people to see the importance of mental health? Do you think that was the big shift that changed people more to talk about
I think we were slowly getting there, but I definitely think COVID and the isolation piece definitely was that shift of, okay, we need to start talking about this more. We need to start talking about isolation and depression and anxiety because there was so much anxiety of, well, if you catch this, are you going to die?
Oh, there were so many unknowns.
Are you going to, like, the unknown created so much anxiety that coupled people who already had anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really do think that one of the blessings is it brought people to this awareness of like, oh, and then kind of like you were saying, you're scrolling endlessly on your phone. Well, what happens if I click on this blurb about trauma?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, what's this thing about this, like, people pleasing and parenting and like, you start connecting your dots a little bit and you're like, oh, well, maybe this facade isn't as perfect as I thought it was.
Well, also, it like stopped our busyness routine, right? There's so many people who went through a separation or a divorce during COVID because that busyness stopped of like, I only have one kid and I know how busy I stay with her during regular non-COVID times, right? Play rehearsals in school and, taxiing back and forth with one kid. I can imagine if you had 3 and they're doing travel sports or they're doing, all these other things. And so all these relationships that were based on the busyness of life.
Well, busyness is a way to avoid.
Yeah.
When you're stopped and still, that's when the thoughts start rolling of like, oh, maybe this isn't as wonderful, or maybe I don't need this in my life.
When you stop and it's just the two of you, or it's just even just your family unit together, and like, how do we even know how to communicate with each other anymore?
No.
So many of us don't because we're just in this routine of moving so fast. So hopefully that opened some people's eyes to really get that help that they needed and I know especially for like the teenagers that were going through it at the time, that really opened up. And we don't have to wait till you're an adult to start therapy.
Right.
We can do it in your teen years and hopefully avoid some of these problems that adults are having.
Absolutely. Well, and I think that is one beautiful thing of like, because we've talked a lot about families and generations and like that family history element is our parents and our grandparents didn't talk about mental health.
No.
I came from a Catholic family.
Well, we're Southern Baptists. It's the same. You just pray about it. That's exactly what you do.
You just pray about it.
Just pray on it.
And for a long time, and that's one of the reasons Willow Equine started, was I wasn't going to go talk on the cliche couch to some stranger. I'm sure I prayed about it too, but I just ran to my horses. It never occurred to me like, hey, the stuff you went through as a child was not okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of trauma there, but because it was never identified our family never identified it, it wasn't a point of conversation. You just kept going. And I think that was one of the biggest things is when you can actually stop and be like, okay, I know our parents and our grandparents are doing the best they can. And yet it's you and I and the other moms that are at the same age bracket that we're at. Is like, we're doing different for our kids. Mm-hmm. We're wanting to instill differently, but then also saying, okay, let's talk about this. Let's get you therapy.
Yes.
Maybe the therapy's art. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's out with the horses. Mm-hmm. But therapy isn't a bad thing. but we have to talk through things and not just brush everything under the rug.
And I think that's the biggest thing for our generation and to instill in our children that we do talk about things, even if they're uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
We don't just brush them under the rug. We don't just say, oh, that's just how they are, or boys will be boys, or girls will be girls, right?
Yep.
We're going to talk about these things and we're going to get them out in the open because secrets are where the devil loves to live in secrets. My mom would always say that. Yeah, he loves to live in the dark. And so if we keep secrets inside and we try to just muscle through it, I mean, and I'm as bad as anybody else to try to just muscle through and push through it. But if we just keep doing that, then we're not going to get to the root of the problem, and we're just going to keep pushing it off and finding new ways to cope rather than actually dealing with the issue.
Well, and ruining the relationships that are around us.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest things is that we're doing it to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And yet it's not for the benefit of anybody.
Well, even when we think we're doing it to protect our family, it comes out in other ways, you know, it's going to come out physically or emotionally or, you know, in some other way, it's going to affect the people that we love the most.
Well, it's affecting ourselves. That mind, body, soul connection
Absolutely
is so, I mean, there's so many studies that say the trauma you've experienced can have a direct correlation on your physical health. Well, by the time you start peeling back this onion and it's like, well, wait a second. Do I have this digestive issue because of this? Then you kind of go down your rabbit hole. But that's when you're on that true healing journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And really
and it's
figure out
having
the root
these
of it.
conversations that are hard and uncomfortable and that V word.
Yeah. The vulnerability is so hard. It's so hard for women sometimes too, which you'd think it'd be easier for women to be vulnerable, but it's so easy for us to keep up that mask and that like that everything looks and feels that highlight reel of Instagram, that everything looks and feels beautiful. But
my therapist laughed at me too because you saw the bodily reaction. I like that V word. I do this for a living, and that vulnerability is hard.
It is hard. It really is hard. We're going to keep
talking
about it. We're going to dig into it. We're going to have more guests on the show, not just us. Yeah, so we're going to open up this space to really talk to women and celebrate what it says right behind us, the success of women. We're really going to celebrate the success of women. And also,
and that's the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right. What it took to
all
get
the
you there.
Celebrations of everything.
It's very rarely a direct path from this is what I want to do to here to where I am. It always takes.
And it's never the straight uphill.
No, you got some ups and downs for
uphill.
sure. That's for sure. But I am going to answer our 3 questions before we wrap up today. So question number 1.
What do you love about the Lake Norman area?
Oh gosh. I mean, everybody says the people. And so I won't give the general question. I will say I think you said the same, the fact there's always something to do. So I grew up in a small town where people don't complain about the traffic because there's not any, because there's nothing to do. And really, other than football games on Friday nights or hanging out in the field at a bonfire on the weekends, that's pretty much all we ever had to do growing up. So having stuff to do always in like a variety of options, whether I want to stay in Cornelius or come to Statesville or Mooresville, wherever, there's always something to do. So I love that about this area.
And I know you've already shared a lot of very valuable advice that your family has given you. But as you sit in this chair, what's the most valuable advice you've received?
Gosh, there's so many things, and I think I could answer a different way every single day. But I think it really is like what I said in the last episode: be who you are when your head hits the pillow. So my dad would always say. Another one that I love, and it's a Bible verse that says, "The Lord will be your." Gosh, I'm going to get it wrong, but the Lord will speak for you. You just need to be silent.
Yes.
And that is so important, whether you have faith or not. The truth always comes out. So as long as you show up as authentically yourself every single day and you're true to yourself and you're honest in what you do, God will be the voice that you need him to be. You don't ever have to say who you are. It'll just show up and it'll show through you.
When you have to listen and trust that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the words. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then what is your core value that you want to share?
One of my core values, I think, would be authenticity, obviously, but also like being able to listen.
Yes.
And I think that's active listening, one that some people don't value as much. Like I can talk and talk and talk all day, but for me to listen and really hear what you're saying and understand you, and that's how you make connections, is by listening more than talking.
Yep. And you hear what isn't said too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, just being available to listen and hear what people are wanting to say and being able to share their stories, I think is so important. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing the stories that maybe we didn't know about you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, it's tough, that vulnerability. It's tough, but I'm digging into it and I'll lean into it every day when I'm sitting here with you. So Thank you guys for joining us. Come back next week for another episode and hopefully we'll have a special guest next week too.
Yes, we will. A very special one.
Looking forward to it. All right. Bye guys. See you later.
Bye.